Hi, I'm Boris Budd, and this is NIMBY Land from the Animals Are Better Than People record, coming out soon.
Hostile architecture policed by muscled cunts. Finny shit nightmare sidewalk, sleeping grunt. Citywide solution, everyone gets free tents. Central banker policies keep on raising the rent. In NIMBY land, NIMBY land, NIMBY land, we live in NIMBY land. The underpass is filled with rocks and broken glass. One health emergency and you're out on your ass. Public-private partnerships, that's what will carry the day. Shit people that live in posh houses usually say. In NIMBY land, NIMBY land, NIMBY land, we live in NIMBY land. Canvas sheltered war-torn streets in your own downtown. Income inequality, that's what keeps us down. Social welfare initiatives really can't be hard. Neighbors scream in unison, not in my backyard. In NIMBY land, NIMBY land, NIMBY land, we live in NIMBY land. We care so much, our special friend. No vacancy in NIMBY land. We care so much, a helping hand. No vacancy in NIMBY land. We care so much, our special friend. No vacancy in NIMBY land. We care so much, a helping hand. No vacancy in NIMBY land.
Are we on?
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted to thank you guys for having me on the program, and based upon the confrontational title of the show, I thought you were going to be jerks, but you're both lovely.
I appreciate it.
Fuck you, Boris.
Fuck you.
Shut up. Who cares what you think?
You're going to shut up. We're going to listen.
Yeah, exactly.
My name's Chrvns.
Yeah, I'm Tim Mechling.
This is Shut Up and Listen. And today we have the one, the motherfucking only, Boris Budd. Man. What up, dog?
I don't know. I'm still stressed out about your Yanni hat with the New York Yankee interlocking, the world famous interlocking NY worn all over the world. And okay, sorry.
Is this Yanni, the Greek performing musician?
No,
Not the Acropolis.
He's a rapper. Yeah, he's one of my favorites.
You're thinking of Zamfir, the pan flute guy.
I'm thinking. I'm thinking like Yanni is like a Greek 90s new wave musician that has some incredible performances.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah, and good hair and shit too.
Oh, he's beautiful. He has a mustache that rivals the one I used to have on this podcast.
I think, yeah, we're talking about two different Yannis.
Yeah, we're talking about two different Yannis.
Yeah, you had that Tom Selleck shit going.
Yeah.
I liked it.
So for the people that don't know, who is Boris Budd? And what do you do?
I write songs and sing them, and they're about different things like political hypocrisy, and I used to write weed songs. I was on that kick for a while, and then it became legal, and it just was not as much fun
You
anymore.
don't hit the same.
So it was for a long time, the smoking of marijuana was very subversive to write a song about it. It was an active revolution to smoke or even talk or sing about smoking marijuana. And you're saying that changed as soon as it became legal?
Yeah, bro, it don't hit the same when you gotta buying weed in a parking lot versus going in a store, bro. Mad different.
It's true. And there was that element of, they had medical marijuana here since 1998, and that helped a lot of people. And that's why I actually got interested in the activism of cannabis from the medical side. But yeah, when it became legal in 2014 and the sky didn't fall, and that's what, the detractors said would happen, it just became a regular product. Mm-hmm. And the stores are pretty bougie, and it's fun to go to them. But yeah, it's not like going out in the parking lot. And, I live downtown, so people are scoring meth in the parking lot constantly. It's a whole nother look. It's a much different clientele.
Yeah.
So what was it that, if you don't mind my asking, medically, what got you into the cannabis scene?
Well, I have inflammatory diseases. So uveitis is an eye disease that's you can have it in the front or back of your eye, and I had it in the back of my eye, and it basically destroyed my maculas or the center of my retinas. So I have no middle or detail vision in either eye. But everybody has something, and I get along.
So I guess let's do like a origin story of how it all began, because you said you were doing like political. So you went from doing the marijuana songs to doing political songs. How did that transformation happen?
Well, in 2004, after when Bush invaded Iraq and it was an illegal war, and most of them seemed to be, it just got me kind of angry, and I just started kind of writing poetry in regard to politics, which I had never done before. I worked in the corporate world until 2008. But I decided to just go in a different direction, and I just started strumming a guitar. I hardly, even knew how to play, and started writing some songs. And a few local musicians who were like notable at the time, Scott Green being one of them, a guy who I met here through Bob, and it's
Shout out Bob.
And he like influenced my life. He basically taught me how to play, and he had confidence in me trying to do something different. And, so we created, they were very liberal based at the time, political songs, kind of pop punk arrangements. And it was just a different thing. And it was received okay around here, and it was fun. And, I got out of the house, and
Hell yeah.
That's kind of how it started. And then with my eye disease that I discussed briefly, and one of the benefits of cannabis was that it would keep my eye pressures down, which would preserve my peripheral vision in both sides. So I was a medical cannabis patient, and I got involved with Seattle Hemp Fest, and
Hell yeah.
and they kind of took me on, and my bands got to played there numerous times. I probably played there like 30 times in a decade, on different stages. But, but it was like you said, it was subversive. So you could write like a funny song about weed, and everybody would be like, ooh, like the guys before, ooh, the ABC's a DUI, that was funny, And I'm just like, yeah, fuck, you can't. It's like you want to escape it though after a while, right?
You've undergone a different arc since you used to write those kinds of songs. Do you want to talk about how that came to be?
after Scott died, and that was the guy who I met here, and he produced a bunch of my records, and I just decided to go in a different direction with Stone, and that was after the weed songs. And what teamed Stone and I up was the fact that he's like, whoa, he plays weed songs, and I'm like, yeah, fuck. And I don't want to play weed songs anymore. So he went with it, and I just started writing songs about the hypocrisy of politics. And that's what Los Bongquistadors was basically all about. And I had a lot of different collaborators on, numerous songs. And like the record was released today, and it was there's a lot of older stuff on there that we never really got out there, and then some new songs, and like the rock and roll version of NIMBY Land, which I sent you guys from
like that.
Like the jazzy version. It just turned into something different, even though to other people it may not have been, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to push myself away from, the giddiness of the cannabis scene, especially with legalization and Hemp Fest going from an event filled with sick people and doctors and attorneys and an educational seminar basically into a weed trade show, which is what it became with legalization.
Yeah.
It just...
I moved here in 2014. I went to like 2 of them. That perfectly described it. Trade show.
So that just makes, for me, it was enough. I didn't want to, coming from a corporate background, I didn't want to deal with weed dicks, it was just like, and that's what it kind of became. And so I backpedaled out of that.
We'll be right back after these messages. We'd like to give a special thanks to Lost Giant Cider Company, always providing us with our cider beverages and the best of the cider beverages. Visit Lost Giant's tap room in the heart of Bellingham at 1200 Meter Avenue in the Haskell Business Center. It's just down the street from Lakeway Fred Meyer.
Menace Brewing, located in the Fountain District, is where flavor is unleashed. It serves as a local hub of craft beer and community. Recognized as the neighborhood's premier soccer hangout, I love me some soccer. Menace Brewing isn't just a brewery, it's the go-to spot for sports action and local engagement. Visitors can catch the game, connect with fellow fans, and immerse themselves in the heart of the spirited community. Menace Brewing invites everyone to join them, where every visit feels like coming home. Experience Menace Brewing in Bellingham today.
And welcome back.
So has part of your enjadening, if that's a word.
It is now.
But the corruption of Boris Budd, was the corporate aspect of your background a big component of the direction that your songwriting has taken?
That's an interesting question, because I wasn't like an executive or something. I was just a worker. And even though I worked on Wall Street, it wasn't like I was some fucking bigwig bringing home millions of dollars. I was just trying to support my family.
What specifically were you doing on Wall Street?
I was buying and selling government, municipal, corporate, and government agency bonds, which are basically debt securities for clients and funds and that type of thing. And so I was managing portfolios.
So was it like a Gordon Gekko style, greed is good sort of?
When I started, well, if you wore a tie that the higher ups didn't like, they would just snip your tie. It was very bro-ish, and and there I was with like
testosterone.
Yeah, was there like cocaine going around? Was it?
Oh yeah.
It was like American Psycho.
There were people banging hookers in the bathroom.
Yeah,
it was crazy. It was just like what's that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio?
Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
So there were guys at that firm who, after it went under, who interviewed at my firm, and my firm was fucking sketchy, right?
Yeah.
But they were like, don't hire the guys from Stratton Oakmont. No matter what you do, we'll just get shut down. Because they were that fucking good.
Yeah.
They could just talk you into anything.
So was it Reagan years that you were operating, or was it?
No, what am I, 90?
No, I'm like
Clinton.
It was in the Clinton years. Wow. Yeah.
And then Bush.
Yeah, I saw you had a political talk show. You started in 2016. How the fuck did that go? How was that? Because like adjusting to
It was
that climate.
it was through Make.Shift, so unlike this show where I'm honored that you've brought me on just so I can say fuck on the air. It's like
Let's get him out right now.
Yeah, say a couple more.
it's definitely something.
Fucking
But,
say the
on the
word.
regular fucking radio, you can't say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they took us off the radio.
Oh,
I
you
kept-
were on?
We were on for a little bit, but it was too hard to clean it up because I cussed too much. So I apologize to our listeners out
No,
there.
that's a badge of honor, in my opinion.
Well, we're speaking the language of the people, the fucking people.
Yeah.
That part.
It was interesting because, like, it was on at Make.Shift in Kazak's, and there was a lot of internal politics that I just totally ignored, and like if we all had to volunteer twice a year, and I would be like, "Fuck, I don't want to do anything." I was just that kind of asshole, but that's was my protective shell, and it was the only. So I had a partner on the show, and he was it was politics, music, weed.
Oh, that's dope.
All kinds of shit. So I interviewed like the mayor of Bellingham at the time, and she was just like, I forget her, Kelly Linville. She was actually brilliant because she was like a numbers wonk. She wasn't flashy or anything, but I was skeptical when she came, but I was like, wow. And she just like kind of had her way with us.
Yeah.
But I left because I got really bored with. It was during beginning of Trump, and everybody's hair was on fire about everything, and I couldn't really go on the air every week and just complain about Trump. It was just getting boring to me. So I invited on this. I mean, he's a fucking zealot, right? Eric Bostrom. I don't know, like. He was the guy who would stand on Holly and Railroad with a "You will repent" sign. Fornicators will repent, and everyone was like,
wait.
"Fuck you!" And then he would walk around with this big Trump sign. So he ran for county council.
Yeah, I remember that.
So I had him on the air on my show, and Make.Shift freaked the fuck out. I just decided I kind of had enough. My radio partner at the time, who was against me having this, and his views are abhorrent, Bostrom. But why not have someone on the air occasionally with a different view, especially if they're running for office? He wasn't like, he was actually a good guest and pretty well versed, in my opinion. And he called my partner a lightweight, which I thought was really funny. It was just like kind of Rush Limbaugh kind of shit, but.
Well, let's talk about some of the music you got cooking.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what this is about. I was afraid of that. What do you want to talk about?
Let's talk animals are better than people.
I decided that I listened to this audiobook by Rick Rubin called The Creative Act last year. It was pretty popular, and he narrates the audiobook, and it just has a certain mood going. It's like each different passage. He has a gong that changes the passage during the audiobook, and it's really cathartic.
That sounds like a really creative way to do an
Audiobook.
audiobook.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't know he did that.
The first half of the book basically is about clearing your mind and using different methods of doing so. And the one thing that really caught on with me is, sometimes, I guess we all do, but we think too much. So instead of, if I was walking my dog or something, instead of thinking about shit that's bothering me or whatever, or whatever, all I would do was try to identify what was around me without judging it. It'd be like, okay, there's a tree over there. Ooh, I hear an airplane. There's a bird tweeting. And after building up and doing that for a period of like 10 or 15 minutes, I would find, and what he suggested would happen was ideas would flow in my head about like writing different songs and different kind of things. So after the second half of the book is about actually producing a work, and it didn't matter if it was music or art or you're running a business or something. Because everything has a certain flow, and the flow is a big part of it. But he said, if you're going to do something, if you clear your mind and you've done art before, do something totally different than you've ever done previously. And one thing he suggested was using source material for your art. Like previously on Los Bongquistadors stuff that I wrote myself, or wrote words with Marty, or stuff I did with Scott Green, it was about a specific topic of something that bothered me, and occasionally a sappy love song that I cringe at now.
We all love those, though.
Yeah.
I do. I definitely do.
But what Ruben suggested to do was, like I said, use source material. So, and what he meant by that was stuff that you see and come across in your life. And so that's kind of what I did in building Animals Are Better Than People. And the goal of it was to do everything differently than I had done previously. Like minimize guitar noodling as much as possible. Use synthesizer instead of guitar. There seems to be arrangements to songs where there's various parts. There's the percussion, there's the bass, there's the rhythm, and there's the hook, right? So instead of using drums, bass, guitar, lead guitar, vocal, it was just like change it up on every song. Just do something different. Bring in Pete Rubel to play harmonica. The guy was brilliant, And
It seems like this is kind of saying no to a lot of the conventions of punk production.
But it's not. What did Iggy Pop say? That punk was a term created by heartless manipulators and dilettantes. And it's just... And I hear what you're saying, but it's like... Punk isn't a specific thing. Like, let's look
Punk's
at
a
David
vibe.
Bowie in 1972, Diamond Dogs. I mean, that's not a traditional punk record, but it's punk as fuck,
Sure.
It's a vibe.
But I hear what you're saying, and I think it has morphed into that now. But a lot of people would argue that everything after 1978 was post-punk.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear that argument a
I
lot.
have heard people say that like punk stopped in 1978 and everything else
Yeah,
has
with
just
the Sex Pistols.
sure.
That was it. There's a really great book called England's Dreaming by John Savage that outlines that whole era, and it concentrates specifically on the Sex Pistols. But it's a great book, and it just goes over band after band after band, and it's just put together beautifully.
But devil's advocate here. If you were to go to a punk show, what instrumentation would you expect to hear? Big loud guitars, kind of fuzzed out bass guitar, big loud drums, right?
Yeah.
I went to the Shakedown and I saw this band Von Wildenhaus, right?
Yeah.
And it was a punk show, and they came on with all this weird instrumentation, this amazing, like, 6 foot tall blonde singer who was like Bowie-like in her movements, and it was punk as fuck to me, and it was one of the best things I'd seen in a while. Maybe it's just punk is just everything, That's, to me, that's what it is.
Yeah, it turned into a marketing term, and it like as much as grunge was kind of corrupted and turned into a different thing, punk became a commodity, especially throughout the 90s, early 2000s. It was a way to sell clothes at Hot Topic at a certain point.
Yeah.
I wanted to get away from. I was bored with doing the same thing I had kind of always done. And first with Scott, he was like virtuoso. And the type, they're around. And then with Stone, it became more of an attitude type thing, and it's more fun in a way, especially with the new record coming out. But after reading that book and then like diving into Bowie's records after Let's Dance, most people don't do that. Like 1984 for Bowie is it, and they stop at Let's Dance. But the work after that is just as brilliant, and because he was a brilliant financier, he didn't have to kiss the ass of labels and was able to fund his own highly artistic records. And I just found that to be
That's always
really
the goal right there.
inspirational.
Oh yeah. Oh, if I didn't have that to worry about, you know,
Shit, I make the weirdest things in the world.
I'd be doing all sorts.
Actually, I still make the weirdest things.
Yeah.
And that was a thing that came up in the recording of Animals Are Better Than People. You had almost kind of a mantra where you would say, I'm going to record whatever the fuck I want. And that's what you kept stating. Like, it was like...
Yeah, but you guys know better than anyone that if you're making it, sometimes you have to go with what you got.
For sure.
You know, and shit changes, and if you can't pivot in the recording in the studio, I mean, we're in this it's kind of like a
Binary
Howard
recording
studio
studio.
in
Shout out
Whatcom
Bob.
County,
Shout
right?
out Bob.
Yeah, I mean, no one knows better than him.
But there's been a ton of ingredients that you were adding to the recording process that I'd never heard of before. Like in one song, for example, you're like, on top of the guitars, could we have the sound of electrocution happening? Just the sound of like the sizzle of somebody being sizzled to death by electrocution. And I was like, okay, sounds good. And we threw it on the track. I don't know if it's going to make it to the final cut.
Well, that's the feeling that someone would have for losing their housing.
So it's a pure expressionistic element to you.
It's really, in retrospect, it's a very violent record, I've realized.
I wanted to bring that up, that there is a lot of Scorsese sort of mob language, that there's a lot of...
I'm from Jersey.
Yeah, but there is a ton of mob and violence and hard cuts and very Scorsese-esque juxtapositions of like gentle versus hard on this album. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
I think it's because I lived in the city since 2021.
That'll do it.
In Portland and here. And Portland is bad, but it's also awesome still.
I love Portland. Portland weird as fuck.
It's edgy, and you know, like on the Los Bongquistadors CD, the photos are from Portland. Mm-hmm. But here is no picnic either, you know. And if you live downtown, it's really rough. You know, my dog and I walk a lot, and I'm kind of have this weird cardio addiction, but it keeps me going. But there's nothing worse on a Saturday night if you're walking down Railroad and it's 37 degrees and with wind blowing rain to see senior citizens and veterans in wet blankets. With no one really giving a shit, even though we make it like we do. And like that's the whole theme of NIMBY Land, for example. But there's just that element of wealth mixed in with just total abject poverty and suffering that takes place that could easily be any of us with the wrong breaks.
We'll be right back after these messages. Hey music lovers, want to be part of something bigger than just another music app? Check out SubJam. It's more than just streaming, it's a movement. Founded on the spirit of DIY and grassroots energy, SubJam is here to support music communities, promote free and open content, and help artists fill venues. You remember the episode where Jordan from SubJam came by and we went through the app? You gotta check it out ASAP. They're looking for passionate people like you to beta test their new iOS app and help shape the future of music. Join them by visiting subj.am/beta today. Let's make some noise together. Binary Recording Studio is a versatile space designed to cater to all music genres. And when I say all, I mean all. If you're into jazz, rock, hip-hop, or anything in between, Binary is equipped to bring your music to life. With the expert engineering and the best setup, my boy Bob, he can capture the essence of whatever you are wanting to create and bring it, just to reality. From there, book your session today, unleash your creativity at Binary Recording Studio. But for real, my boy Bob, he will not disappoint. And welcome back.
We seem to play quarterly Los Bongquistadors at the Shakedown.
Okay.
And pick up shows here and there. And now with this new record, we'll have to play a little bit more. Animals Are Better Than People. I don't really have a band for that.
We'll talk about some of the people that you brought in to play on the record. How about?
Let's see. Well, I brought in you, and
Hey, that's me.
yeah, he did a good job.
Good job, bud.
Well, he has the level of weirdness that I needed to actually complete this project, and that's
Well, thank you, Boris.
a big thing. You know, it's and there's a lot of cats in the studio, so I'm talking about animals, and I'm a big fan of animals. But anyway, yeah, it's play whenever. I just want to put out these records, and as you get, I used to play a lot, like once or twice a month for like 10, 11 years until the pandemic, and now it's just too much. It's exhausting.
Performing?
Yeah, just to like carry your shit to the show and just
That's when the jitters cut again, and it's like, yeah, dog.
yeah. I don't even have jitters anymore, so that means it's time to minimize that part of my life.
So, instrumental wise, on the Bongquistadors album, it's Stone Jones.
Oh wait, I didn't finish the question.
Okay, sorry.
Regarding the other players,
Yeah.
Pete Rubel came in and played harmonica. He was great. Vincent Black Shadow did a guitar track. Paige Woods, Brooke Bates, Hannah did a bunch of stuff, and I guess Hannah does a vocal with me on Loserville. That's like my favorite part of the record.
Okay.
She's yeah, and we just did different stuff. We have it's like Italian classical and electronic music, and just this kind of fun country-ish, but still a little Smiths-like song that has nothing to do with anything, called "Animals Are Better Than People." And
I love the title.
Well, it's a shout out to my vegan and vegetarian friends, because that's an interesting way to live in the United States when 95% of the country eats meat, and I'm all for it. You wouldn't have any friends at all if you held people.
I apologize for the meat smells in my house. Like, oftentimes when you came over to record, there was a freshly sizzled steak, or like the lingering smells of something very meaty.
I didn't eat meat for the longest, but I still love the smell of it.
Yeah.
Like when it's cooked nice.
Yeah.
I didn't like looking at it though.
I think for Christmas though, he made like a penguin or a fucking.
It was a goose. I made a goose, a duck, and a beef Wellington
For Christmas?
for Christmas.
Yeah,
We're going to leave it there.
Yeah.
it's a lot of protein.
Well, what wisdom would you impart on the music scene? People that love music, people that make music, creative types.
No, just anything. What's that one piece of advice you got for the people out there?
Oh man, don't take advice from anyone. Do it your heart.
Ever the contrarian. I love this.
I don't know, but if you're stupid, you better ask someone. So don't take advice from anyone, but if you're fucking stupid, you better ask someone, or look it up on Ask AI. That helps. Right?
Yeah.
Chat
guess.
GPT.
That's such a cynical answer. I love it.
I don't know. If everyone was kind to each other and wanted to have conversation and dialogue, I think we'd be a lot better off. There's an example. When I first moved here in 2001, and I would walk on the trail, and shortly thereafter had a dog or whatever. Everyone would say hello to you on the Bellingham trails, and it was like coming from the East Coast. That was kind of like really a heartwarming thing.
Because that happens on the East Coast. I grew up in Georgia, and it happens all the time. Everybody talk to everybody, like, your neighbors, everybody around you.
Well, in the Northeast, in Jersey,
Oh, that's more cold.
Everyone's like, "Fuck you."
That's more cold, yeah.
Yeah, there's none of that. So, yeah, just none. You're a fucking weirdo if you do that.
Fuck out of here, bro.
You'll get whacked. But that was just like, it was a big deal to me. I was like, this is a pretty cool community. It's like really artsy, and everyone says hello, and And now it's like I noticed there's three different reactions. There's the old time Bellingham people who will still say hello to you, especially on Saturdays. Then there's people who moved here who are like pushing a baby cart and obviously have moved from somewhere else with a lot of money. And you say hello to them and they're just like, ugh.
Well, thanks for joining us, Boris.
That shit was beautiful.
Thanks for having me. Sorry for my political ramblings.
Oh, you're good, bro.
Just trying to change.
It's different. It was different.
change
We
it
haven't
up
had
a
that on the
little.
show before. This is the first political episode, so I want to shout out to the people.
Yeah.
First political episode. We out here, motherfucker.
It wasn't really political. It was
It was just, yeah.
a little gibberishy.
Yeah. History lessons and shit.
shitty,
I like
but
that.
okay.
Tim.
Yeah,
That's great.
I like
it
that.
was good and bad.
On that note, my name is Chrvns,
I'm Tim Mechling.
I'm Boris Budd.
and this is Shut Up and Listen. Y'all stay beautiful, stay hydrated, stay moisturized. Man. Thanks again for tuning in to Shut Up and Listen. For more captivating content, including videos, articles, and everything music related, visit our website at shutupbham.com. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts and join the conversation by following us at Shut Up and Listen Bham on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Shut Up and Listen is proudly produced by Rocket Soul and Binary Recording Studio. Stay tuned for more fantastic episodes.